Hey all, welcome to Fedora QA onboarding session. So I'm Shumantro. I'm going to walk you through how we are, going to learn about Fedora QA in a bit details, and then we will move into how you guys can use Fedora QA as a contribution pathway, and you can contribute back to Fedora. So as you guys know, Fedora is a bleeding edge Linux open source operating system. So it releases twice every year, and we have certain terminologies which I'm going to cover in a bit. So the first thing first, the terminologies would be, so since we release every 6 months, we have something called we have rawhide. So the rawhide is basically a way by which we determine, it's like a bleeding edge, non-freezing. So you can actually, all the contributors contribute their code, and after a time slice, we branch it and we make it a branched, and that branched actually gets tested through the stages of like alpha, beta, and then final. And then we have the Fedora final release. So two terminologies that you guys need to know is first is rawhide, which is like a non-freezing channel, you can call it, and where all the contributions go towards, and then we branch it after, let's say, 6 months, we branch it, and then we start developing on that branch towards the final release. So we have alpha, we have beta, and we have final. uh, Moving on with the agenda of today, so this is what Fedora is. Now let me just start off with what Fedora QA is. So like most of you guys have up till now wondered what QA is. So basically it stands for Fedora Quality Assurance. What exactly it means is no software, or rather no code, we can assure that it doesn't have bugs. So generally most of the components will have some sort of bugs, and then in Fedora QA we have certain ways of, for bug triage, and we do it and we figure out if it is the best way that we can, solve all those or fix all those issues. We help out in testing on different off-the-shelf hardwares, enabling the user. So when we release for public, the the product is almost ready. There are almost no bugs, and that's how Fedora QA works. So it's essentially what we do is we take care of a ton of things. First, we take care of the operating system. The way the operating system functions and how it happens to be. So the first part of the Fedora QA activity is for you to at least start off with a FAS account. In Fedora, like in most of the other open source projects, you have an identity. In Fedora, we call it the FAS account. So the first thing first, if you want to contribute, you need to have a FAS account which acts as an identity, and then you can, against that identity, you can just go ahead and do tons and tons of testing. And that is the exact same identity on which the recognition model works too. So the recognition model actually gives you back the, when you're testing like 25 packages, you get a badge that acts as a recognition system, and that recognition system is again against the identity. So make sure you have a FAS account when you start off with. So you keep doing activities and you keep getting badges. So that's the basic stuff. Now, none of the stuffs that I will be going through in the session, you do not need to do it on a bare metal. So what I mean by a bare metal is, let's say your laptop. Like you should not use your production laptop or your production system, because most of what you will be testing is something which is about to come in next 6 months, which means that things will be pretty much unstable. The packages will be pretty much unstable, and the OS itself might be unstable. So you need to make sure that you have virtualized environment when you are starting to test any of the packages or any of the operating systems that you would like to. That's the first thing. Next is when you are going forward with when you're going forward with testing. So let's start off with there are basically two types of testing. So first is called release validation testing. So what essentially release validation means is we every of the like all the operating system compose. So most of you guys who are like registered with your FAS IDs and to the test mailing list, you guys keep getting reports of test compose. So essentially, you will get mails of like some image being notified or sorry, some image being nominated, and you will keep getting mails about to test that particular image. In fact, if you just wander by the Fedora QA free node channel, you might find nightly testing underway for some compose. So what essentially it means is we test for the operating system and we test it using a method called release validation. In release validation, you essentially have to test the whole compose against a few test cases. Now, test cases are basically a series of steps which you need to follow. So every test case will have essentially three sections which you can look forward to. The first section is generally called the it's like setup section. Like how would you like to set up your machine before you start testing anything on top of it? So that is like the first thing. Next, you have something like the steps to test. So it's like how to test kind of a section. So the how to test kind of a section will tell you exactly what are the steps you sequentially need to follow them in order to make sure that you have done the testing correct. So that is the second part or the second block of the test case. The third block is the expected results. So what expected result means is once you have your test case and you're running it, when you follow those how to test sections and you apparently get the results which is exactly mentioned in the expected results, you can call that test a pass. If it doesn't, then you call that test a fail. So that's kind of the simple equation we do when it comes to release validation testing. So we test for if the image or the specific things for the images, example virtualization, example boot install, default boot install, example storage. So these are the kind of test cases you're going to find under the the summary of test case wiki for that particular compose. And all you need to probably do is just run those test cases and post your results back to the post your results back to the test matrix. So what essentially that will do is once you post your results in the test matrix, uh, all the other testers will be able to view your results, and yes, successfully you'll be testing out something. So let me just pull out a very simple thing and show you how a test case should practically look like. So let's say we have Okay, so let me just show you what I mean when I mean the release validation. So now that I talked about release validation, it's high time that I show you what release validation kind of is. So here I am on my account of I'm logged in from my fast username. So this is my fast username, as I was telling you. So all of you guys need to have a fast username to get started off with. And this is the summary page of the latest branched that is there. So what essentially you will see is you'll find this content box with a list of test cases. So these are like the test categories, and each of this category will have a test case. Now I'll give you best examples of two test cases. So first, let's start off with image sanity test. So if you go to image sanity, you're gonna find a test called QA test case media checksum. I mean, that's the media kit checksum and the ISO size. Now, these test cases can often run they can run using a command called relval. Now, relval is a way by which you can post your results directly to Wiki, and I mean without editing it. So essentially, exclusively what relval does is it helps you post your results directly to Wiki. But in most of the cases, all you need to do is, if you probably need to send it go, or a pass or a fail. So all you probably need to do is select the category. Like let's take an example for default install. So let's say this is default install, and I'm testing out workstation live. So essentially, when I go to workstation live, my test case should essentially be of exactly three parts. It's like the setup, as I was talking to you guys. It's a setup, and then how to test, and then expected results. Now, let's say if my test results match with the expected results, I call it a pass. If my test results do not, however, match with my expected result, I call it a fail. And how do I report it? So let's say I've been doing it for workstation, right? So I can simply go back to wherever the workstation file is. So let's say I was testing out workstation and my system was x86-64. I can simply edit this, press this edit button, and it's going to take me to the code. And all I need to probably do over here is, so since it was x86, and I'm simply going to do this. I'm going to write result as if it is a pass, or result fail if it is fail, and then I'm going to put Shimantro M, and that's my fast name. So here, the third part will be a fast name, and all you need to provide here is a fast name, and then you can save it. So once you save it, you essentially will be posting out a result for either a pass or a fail to that particular category. So let's check it out. So let's say I tested out workstation live and I have put it out there, and now people can see that, okay, this thing works. Now let me go back to the test case once again and tell you guys another thing that you need to know with release validation testing test cases. So in most of the release validation testing test cases, there will be something called associated release criterion. What essentially that means is, when we validate an image against a few test cases or a bunch of test cases, we have certain expectations from those images. And if those expectations or those requirements are not met, we generally tend to fail that test case fails. But simply marking the test case fail doesn't work every time, because if people have this thing of They kind of feel that, okay, if we are marking fail, I mean, that is all. Actually, it is not. You probably need to go ahead and file a bug if something major has failed. What essentially that means is you need to go to Red Hat Bugzilla. So I'm going to show you how Red Hat Bugzilla looks like. So let's take in. So essentially that goes like this. So you go to Red Hat. Sorry, bugzilla.redhat.com, and essentially what it will do is, once you are, if a test case is failing and you go to Red Hat Bugzilla, you will be in this page. And now once you are in this page, you can search for existing bugs out here. And if it is a new bug which you would like to file, all you need to do is you need to, enter a bug report. Now, essentially, if the test case fails, you need to do this stuff. Given if it is a release validation test case, you probably need to do it right away. So let's say you have, let's say, we want to classify the bug. So first, bug is some kind of a feature which is not working, some code which has got, which is essentially not behaving the way it should. It's abnormal behavior. You can term it that way. So let's say, you need to choose a product when you're filing a bug for the developer to get notified. So let's say I'm taking up Fedora here. So once I am taking up Fedora here, you guys would probably see a list of Fedora products that, for which you can file a bug. Let's say I want to file a bug for Fedora itself. So under Fedora, I choose Fedora again, and thereby what essentially that will do is it will open me up into a complete view of what are the exact details I need to put in to file a bug. So let's say I'm trying to file a bug for the rawhide, or let's say 25, since it is right now branched. So what essentially it goes like is, you need to first go ahead, file a component. So you can either, if you know the component name, then you can just do it. If you do not, then however, you can just do Control Shift A, and it will probably list down all the names. So that's the way component generally lists out all the names of the component which you might want to file a bug with. So there are tons of components you can select from out here. Now either of the components can falter and give you the bug. Now, when you're filing the bug, there are basic things that you need to know and that need to be followed. Like there is a specific nomenclature and there's a specific etiquette for bug reporting. So once you're reporting a bug, make sure that you do it in the correct way, since you're spending a lot of time here. So it's going to be like this. There's going to be summary, and the summary is going to be about whatever the thing is, and like it's going to be about what the problem is in a very nutshell. Then it's going to be a description of the problem. The description of the problem is exactly where you need to write about, well, why do you think this thing is happening? And then there will be a version release number where you need to probably state which version of the software or which version of the operating system, which release, which compose are you filing it for. And then it goes to how reproducible, how many times are you getting this bug. And then it comes to steps to reproduce, which would basically be like, okay, you got this bug after following the exact 4 steps. So whosoever is a developer would follow the same steps and then figure out if he's getting the bug, if he's getting the same bug. So that is how we reproduce the steps. And finally, you have actual results. So the actual results part determines what are the results that you're getting, which makes you think that it's a bug after following the steps to reproduce. In other words, when you're testing for a bug, your steps to reproduce becomes a test case. If your steps to reproduce is giving you the exact outcome which it should, the expected result, then you can easily be like, okay, since it is giving me the expected result, it has to be that this bug is solved. But if it is still giving you the actual result, you can just go ahead and comment on the bug saying that this was probably not fixed. So this is a simple way of filing bugs. Next is, in some cases you might need to attach your execution log. In that case, there is a button for add an attachment. You can submit it with your specific, with the attachment, which can be a screenshot, which can be execution log, which can be anything. So these are the basic stuffs you need to know when you are filing a bug. Make sure whenever you are filing it, make sure you have it, like you have the severity level, which is like, if it is a very urgent bug, you go ahead, term it as urgent. If it is not so, you can just put it in low, and eventually the developers will get to it. Now, another thing is, if you are testing it on, or you're getting the bug on a specific architecture. So let's say I generally prefer using x86-64. So if I'm getting anything on x86-64, I would just select x86-64. This gives the developer another very good feedback about which specific hardware is this bug happening. So he can probably go ahead and make things right. So this is one very important thing which we need to know. Which we generally do while filing bugs. So given now that you know how to file a bug, let me get back to where I left it. So once you have filed any sort of bug for that matter, so you will get a bug ID and you can track it using Bugzilla. So all you need to do is like create an account in like bugzilla.redhat.com and be done with it. Let me just go back to my test case. Yeah. So if the test case failed, you file a bug. If it doesn't, then you go ahead and give a, mark it as a pass like I just did. So you can just go to edit and you can mark it pass. That is how you validate extensions. You validate releases against a few set of test cases. Another very good point that a thing that I need to point is, you can understand the image. When it consists of n, it essentially means it is a nightly image. So make sure that you check out for, if you want to know if it is nightly image, you might want to check the link it just gives you. Now, while getting started with release validation, there will be a ton of test cases which you can test for. And now let me open up the very simple one. So let's say boot install test case, and like walk you through the test case. So the test case will generally be of three parts, as I told you. The first part, however, will be just telling you what are the things that you need to keep in mind. And in most of the cases, in fact in some cases, there will be a warning. Now what a warning will do is, it will essentially tell you that what can go wrong if this test case is not performed correctly, or what are the things you need to keep in mind when you are doing stuff. So let me just show you one very basic thing. So there is this thing called where did it go? Okay, so there's this thing called storage. So in storage, or it will be in, so either it will be so I got it. Okay, it's in USB media, and the test case is live USB creator. So if you open up live USB creator, you'll be actually finding out that there is this test case, which actually has a warning. The warning says data loss, which says if you are testing this stuff out, and if you are doing it, and if you're doing it not right, then this I mean, this if you're doing this test case, you have to make sure that all the data in your disk should be, I mean, USB stick should be moved to a safe place before you start even, I mean, setting up for the test. Because once you do start off with the test, it might erase, I mean, the entire stick, and your data will be lost permanently. So that's the kind of stuff, that's the kind of warning that you generally will see in some of the test cases. And then there will be a release criterion, like I mentioned. And in release criterion, you can just go ahead and file if there is a, I mean, if there is a bug in this particular test case, and if you're not getting the desired result, what is mentioned in the expected result, you should just go ahead and nominate it for a blocker bug. And you can do it just by going to this blocker bug nomination page. So this blocker bug nomination page will exactly be the same, I mean, the bug page where you need to, you need to sign in with the FAS account. And once you are in your FAS account, you can then go ahead and put in your Bugzilla credentials, and I mean, go inside and link it as your bugs, as your blocker bugs. So this is the kind of blocker bug section that we have in Fedora. Now let me go back to my section for QA testing. So that is like release validation testing. That's one thing that most of the people have. And then once you are done with the release validation testing, we have so next thing on the agenda would be, okay, so the next thing on the agenda would be talking about, I mean, something about automation testing. So yeah, in most of the cases, release validation becomes, release validation becomes monotonous, because it is the same thing you need to do over and over again, and that becomes monotonous at the end of the day. So what you essentially do when it gets monotonous is you can start off doing it using OpenQA, which is the automated testing framework. So you can use OpenQA for a lot of stuffs. And it is actually helpful when it comes to testing out operating systems at a very fast rate, because manual testing becomes boring. So here is a deployed instance of OpenQA. So in most of the cases, in the most of the test case sections, you will find this coconut, which has a bot symbol in front of it. So I mean, long back, it used to be a thing that you would probably be filling up this whole thing all by yourself, and that was a hard job. So people at Drono made OpenQA. So OpenQA, essentially what it does is it tells the people, it rather acts as an automated testing tool and helps the tester to test the composed images without any human intervention, to be precise. So you can see, Fedora build 25 is like, has passed 83 tests, has failed 16 tests, and people are, I mean, things are happening out here. So that's the kind of stuff that you generally do with OpenQA. Now, if you see this, there is this way that OpenQA so generally tests. So wherever it passes, it gives you this green thingy. If it fails, it will give you the red thing. And then if you see, all the server DVDs and all the server ISOs, the workstation ISOs, I mean, they pass through the same OpenQA tests, which are automated tests and which is written. And as and when it passes and fails, it just, just keeps posting results back to the QA test case matrix, which is this matrix, and you can find coconut all over the place, because coconut has already tested it out, and if it has passed, it has just put in this details. So this is one way of doing release validation testing, and you know what, automated testing is always good, but really, when it comes to validation testing, it's essentially required that, I mean, the testers do it on a bare metal or a VM, and they do it, I mean, manually. So that actually helps us to determine if something has broken for a specific hardware or specific architecture. So we can actually detect that, and people can report it as a blocker bug, and we can then work out and see how we can fix that. So this is release validation testing. Now let me move on to what update testing is. So most of you guys have seen this. Mostly, if you have read the documentation, you have seen there's something called update testing. So what I mean by update testing is, now most in Fedora we don't just test the operating system. We also test the things which come with the operating system, the packages which you might install on your operating system at the end of the day. So let me go like this. Bodhi is one such web-based framework where you can find all the packages coming in, and you can go ahead and start testing them. Example would be, so let's say you have a fast account, and I told you you need to have a fast account. You can just go ahead and log in, and once you are logged in, you will be in your profile, and you can go ahead and start testing. Now in both here, you need to keep a bunch of things in mind when you are actually starting to be update testing, I mean, tester. So when you're getting started, the first thing to keep in mind would be to make sure that you test the package for quite some time before you give out the updates. That's one. Two is, when you are I mean, when you are testing any kind of update, no matter whatever it is, you need to make sure that if it has a test case, then you go through the test case. If it doesn't have a test case, find the change log. If it is not a change log, then you probably need to find out some other way by which, if it is a bug, then we probably need to go through the bug. Now I'm going to come to each of the scenarios one by one. So let me just first take a example of live USB creator. So let me take the example of live USB creator. So live USB creator is one such tool which helps us to create images for for bootable media. So it's one of the things which is going pretty much permanent, and it's one of the changes which has been proposed as a primary downloadable. So what essentially it does is, if you are testing out, or if you are testing out live USB creator, it essentially means is you need a pen drive or a USB drive for that matter, and the tool will effectively download your the operating system in your pen drive, and then, like, or rather formatting your pen drive and writing the whole operating system image in a bootable format on your USB drive, and then you can boot any system with that machine, with that pen drive. So let me just go to Fedora 24, I mean the thing, and let me see how it looks like. So this is how update testing looks like. So the best thing about update testing is you need to know a few stuffs. The first thing first. So you have something called Koji here. So in most of the cases, you will be able to download the packages right from Koji. So Koji is the build environment. So if I hit here, it will, you guys probably not be able to see. Or be able to see. Okay, so this is Koji. Generally, what it does is it helps you find the RPMs. So like I can find the RPM here and I can just download it and install it. That's one way of doing it. Or I can do dnf install this whole RPM, and that works as well. Either ways, when I'm done installing, all I need to do is I need to find out if this has some test case. And I do find that there is this test case for this particular this particular update. So all I would need to do is I'd probably open up the test case, and like all test cases have this generic thing, it will have a setup, a how to test, an expected result. What essentially that means is when you are starting off with, when you're starting off with any test case, you will find these three sections. One very unique thing about update testing, although, is you need to make sure that the update testing repositories are enabled on your VM or on the system that you're testing on. Now, obviously, all that I am speaking about, you need to do that in a VM. You cannot, afford to do that on your production system. So what essentially happens is in Fedora we have this thing of testing updates. Now the process life cycle is kind of like this. So we have something called update testing queue. This update testing queue holds all those updates, and those are shown in Bodhi. Now in Bodhi, you have a list of all those updates which are going under either being tested or about to be tested, and that category. And when a tester is testing that and gives at least a plus, 3+1 karma. So one tester can give one karma. When three testers give at least 3+1 karmas, then that update is moved to a stable. Once we have a bunch of updates in the stable, you generally can get the updates by simply doing a DNF update on your machine. But for that, so the QA team enables the packages which are in the testing to be properly tested before they are pushed to the people who are using it, the users of Fedora particular version. So let me go back and show you how updates be like. So one example would be the live USB creator. So live USB creator has a test case, like I was telling you, and the test case says run this particular command. So the first command says sudo dnf enable update testing. What essentially that means is you enable the update testing repositories. And just to make sure that I need to grab the new version of this live USB creator, all I need to put is refresh best install and then a live USB creator. Now this command will exactly pull out live USB creators, the packages, whatever is there in the update testing repo. The package which is there in the update testing repo, it's going to pick up that package right off and install it on my machine, and then I will be able to test it. So the testing section goes like, first I need to have a version of Fedora which I want to flash on the flash drive. So I need a flash drive. So once we are doing it, you need a version of Fedora, and next you need is the tool. The live USB creator should be successfully be able to wipe the content of the USB and download the image that you're trying to install or you're trying to create a bootable image of. And then there will be this, then you can check it for a BIOS boot right away, and then UEFI, and then you can start the installer, the Fedora installer, which just got installed on your USB drive, and proceed with the installation. If the installation fails, or if after installation some package doesn't work, those are kind of the, so if it fails, then you should actually report a bug in Bugzilla saying, okay, this is not creating such an image which is letting me install Fedora. So you should file a bug then. Although if the image is not after installation, the image is not properly functioning or something like that, then that is not something which is in the scope of this test case. So the expected results be like the USB should be wiped before the image is being written. So if you have some data on your USB drive, like told you, there will be this warning symbol. So there is this warning symbol saying all the data will be removed. So like the expected test case is like this will say that, or like expected results of the test case will go like, hey, if you're if you're doing this test case, then all the data will be erased, and you might want to back up your data. Next is the installer should start without error, which means that when you're booting, you should not face any problems out there, and the installation should finish. So those are like the expected results. Let's say all of these expected results are fulfilled. Once it's fulfilled, and once you know that this is okay, things are working fine, you can go back to the live USB creator, that particular update which you tested, go all the way down, and you can say, okay, this update is generally functional, it works. This test case of whatever that I was doing actually works. If it doesn't, then you move it to the left and you say, no, it doesn't work. So if you do it right, and if you write looks good to me, which is LGTM, and you post it, it essentially will give you a +1 karma. What it means is the +1 karma is being given to this package, and this package essentially will be this package will essentially be pushed to stable. Now this has already a +3, more than +3 karmas. So you know what, we already have people, already have this package in the stable version. Now let me show you another typical update validation testing. So it will be easy for you to understand. So let's take Fedora 23, or Fedora 23, and let's say Fedora 24. Let me take a bunch of like USB test cases. Figure out. Okay, so let's start off with this one. This looks really neat. So is the same test case, but for this time we have a different version of the build. So the build version differs, and we have the release for Fedora 24 marked, and this although is a stable, but I'm going to use the same test case to explain you guys how to test for bugs. So let me take a normal bug out here. Let me take this bug, and let me take another bug. So let me take out okay, I need to connect it to charger. Connected. So let's say we go for a bug. Now this bug will have, so this is how a filed bug looks like. So essentially when you are like filing a bug, and you're doing and you are checking out how when a bug is filed, and you're actually seeing how many people are working on the bug and what is the bug all about. Here is how it is. So essentially what you have is you have a place where it is said closed errata, which means the status which says closed errata, which means that whatever that you are doing, or whatever this bug was, has been solved. Now someone might have just tested out this bug, right? So how is it done? See, whenever the person filed the bug, he wrote he wrote specifically 4 things that I was talking about. So he wrote a description of the problem. He wrote the version on which he was testing and he got the problem. He wrote how reproducible, which is the frequency of the occurrence of this particular bug. And then he wrote the exact steps to reproduce. Now, when you are testing for a bug, your aim should be to run the steps to reproduce as your test case. If by chance, if you find out that you're getting the actual result or something close to your actual result, you probably can say that the bug is not fixed. But if you're getting something like your expected results, it essentially means that your bug is solved. It's working fine. Now, if you see it this way, this bug has a list of comments, and at the end, it has been solved. So the bugs have a status. When you file it, it's new, and then it's moved to on QA, and then it's like, it's new, and then it's verified, then it's on QA, and once it's on QA, then it again comes back to us for verification, then it's verified, and once it's done, it's solved. So we say on QA to closed, we change the status of the bug, and the resolution is errata, which means it has been solved perfectly. So this bug is no longer valid. Now, this is the kind of stuff that you can have on a bug, right? This is the kind of stuff. Now, if you want to follow a bug, there's an easy way. You can add yourself in the CC list. So you can edit the CC list and you just can add your email address here. So that will essentially mark you to the bug, and whenever there's an update on this particular bug, or if you're filing a bug, make sure, if you have some alternate email address where you want to get notified if something is happening on the bug, make sure you add it to the CC list and you keep getting updates on the bug. So that is like one part of our update testing. So the update testing essentially will be your bugs. So the first thing is, if there is a test case, say look for a test case. Now this thing already had a test case, the same test case that I ran through previously. It had a bunch of bugs. So I told you what to do with bugs. So how to look for bugs, how to check for bugs. And the same way you post your feedbacks. So once you're done, once everything is fine and things are working fine, you can just go back. You can mark all those bugs which you have checked for, and then you can just simply start putting it. So you can simply say plus and minus, and the left hand side is minus, which is like a minus karma, and plus, which is a plus karma. Plus karma here indicates a pass, and minus karma indicates a fail, and you can just put your updates. So like most of the people have done here. So this has already reached the limit. Now, when you're searching for release specific updates, so there's this tag called release. So once you're logged in, you will get this. And let's say, I'm searching for bugs for, let's say, the updates for Fedora 25. I'm interested in testing of Fedora 25, let's say. So in case of Fedora 25, you will be getting a list of updates, and this is how it looks like. So generally, whenever a developer develops anything, any package or any modification or enhancement to that package, or if it is a new package altogether, either ways, it has to go through something called update testing. So in update testing, you have the updates, then you have the age of those updates, and then who submitted it, and then if there is any karma assigned to it, like if it is minus or if it is plus, and then there is this request and a status call. So what essentially they tell is what is the status of this particular update, which says pending, and then what is the request of the update, it says testing. So let's say if you look at the candidate tag of candidate tag update testing, you'll essentially understand all these updates are right now in the pending status, and they are requested for the, people to go ahead and test. That is the first, that is the thing that all the testers are supposed to look at. And then by status, we have a few types of update that you can test for. The first thing is there's something called pending, which means these things have not been in testing. So people have not even touched these 23 updates. Now, let's say there is there is something like testing, which essentially means these 382 updates are right now being tested by someone or the other. 13 of the packages are stable right now. 2 are unpushed by either the maintainer or, after getting negative covers. And then there is obsolete packages which don't count. That's by status. Now, let's say by type, there are specifically 4 major types. So it goes like this. First is the new packages, the packages which has just landed on Fedora 25 and it's pretty much new. Those are like the new packages. Then there is a bug fix. So like the last one I was showing you with Live USB Creator, that was kind of a bug fix. Update. So when you're testing for bug fix updates, make sure you know that what is the bug assigned to it, go to the bug, check out for the bug number, and then do accordingly. Next is enhancement. What exactly enhancement means is if something new has been added to it. So that's kind of an enhancement update that we generally have. And that is like a new feature, can be a new feature, can be a totally new module, can be anything on top of the existing packages. But trust me, the enhancement are generally done on the existing packages. So essentially they might have a bug number, they might have a change log, stuff like that. And then you have security. So there are packages which you might find where you need to probably check for the security type, security stuffs. Example of these kind of packages might be some login something which lets you log in, some packages from browsers where you need to check for security, stuff like that. Next is you're going to find some packages, not a lot of packages, but some packages having a tag called critical path testing. What essentially that means is which is like a upgrade testing, or rather upgrade path testing. What that essentially means is it's kind of a regression testing. We test it for, let's say, my current system is, the release that I'm checking for is, let's say, Fedora 25. My current system is Fedora 25, and regression testing would mean that I will have to check it for Fedora 24, which is N. If N is Fedora 25, then I check it for N-1, which is Fedora 24. So that's kind of the regression testing that we kind of have for all the packages, some of the packages. And if you ever find out critical path testing generally for packages, you might want to, go check it for just the, just another version of that particular operating system. So if you're using 25, check it for 24, make it upgrade from 24 to 25 and see if things work perfectly. Although nothing is broken, you can give critical path testing as +1. So let's say you are testing X feature on Fedora 25, and apparently you find out that your Fedora 25 has this, this particular feature is working pretty fine. You go to Fedora 24 and let's say, something is wrong, or once you shut down your machine, you come back again, you find something is broken. So if you find that kind of stuff, you probably want to report it as -1 and not +1, because if the update, claims to fix or fixes something much, which is comparatively less than what it has broken already in the bug. I mean, according to the bug, then you probably need to go ahead and give it a -1 in that case. So this is the kind of update testing stuff. Now let me jump back to the agenda and sorry, the agenda is okay. Where was the agenda? Okay, so let me just find out the agenda quickly. Okay, so let's say we have the agenda, right? So let me share the screen again. Yep. So the agenda is pretty much there. I mean, if you see it that way, and now you have. So now you have. I mean, so the next thing we have is your the rival part. The part of where you guys know how to use Easy Karma. So if you want to use Easy Karma is another great way of giving feedbacks. But this Easy Karma actually only gives feedback about, it only gives feedback about what are the things, what makes the update generally functional. So in most of the updates, you're going to find this small thing called is that update generally functional. Now, in case of this karma, in case of the in case of the Easy Karma, it generally just helps you to give this Fedora Easy Karma will only help you to give the feedback for this is the update generally functional. It although will not help you with the regression testing or with critical path testing in the other way. And in that case, you need to figure out another way of just doing it. So this is the kind of Fedora Easy Karma. I mean, you can just go ahead, DNF install Fedora Easy Karma, and then you can start working on it. Now, next thing you would like to know is, first is I mean there were demos, so finding and executing test cases. So I've told you how it does. Next is like posting results by Relval Wiki. So okay, I need to go ahead with this one and show you how it looks like. So let me just go to the current test compose. So in the current test compose will always link you to whatever is like the exact current stuff. So you can actually go ahead and understand. So you can actually go ahead and understand how things are working. So let's say you have your Fedora 25 branched this one, and you have a test case. I mean, bunch of installation. So these are the like the installation files under which you come with the test case, and in the test case you have you have some, I mean, in the way of test cases, you have three blocks, as I have already mentioned, and these three blocks will be set up how to test expected results. So once you're running these kind of test cases, generally a media kit checksum or a ISO size test case will have a thing called, they will generally have a thing called RelVal. So RelVal generally gives you this, this gives you this awesome opportunity to just run this test case very fast and post the updates directly to the wiki page. I mean, that is how things work in case of Fedora Easy Karma. So sorry, that is what happens when you are, doing any kind of rel-val kind of a test case where you just go ahead and you run this command on your terminal and it just starts posting results right away. So this is like the first part of it. And next you have, so once we are done with this, next you guys have Taskotron. So Taskotron is another automated testing tool which you can mostly use in case of testing. So Taskotron is basically used for package testing. So you can use Taskotron as an automated testing tool, and you can do a lot of stuff with it. Now, when it comes, so let me recap the whole thing again very fast. So Fedora QA is a process by which we test the operating system plus its packages. So whenever we have, whenever we start, when we think about Fedora QA, it's mostly testing not only the operating system but the packages which comes with it. Mostly this testing stuff, you should not be doing it in a VM. You should be, you should not be doing it in a production machine. You should be doing it in a VM. If you guys don't know how to set up a VM, I have written a blog for it. So you can just go ahead and check out my blog. And then you have contribution pathways where, the basic stuffs that you have been hearing through a lot, like release validation testing and update testing. So release validation is like testing out the package, testing out the operating system in a whole and against a few test cases. Most of you in the test mailing list will be getting updates regarding, this particular nightly compose has been nominated for testing, stuff like that. So whenever you get that kind of a test case, or rather that kind of mail, then you kind of be sure, you are kind of sure that, okay, this is this is a candidate for my release validation testing. So that is one point. Second is you need to set up your identity. The first thing is FAS account. My Etherpad has FAS accounts, Bugzilla accounts, and then how you can start off doing stuff. So I forgot to mention a few things. First thing first, it's like you guys need to introduce yourself. Now, most of you guys know it, know that the test mailing list is there where you guys can go ahead and talk about it. Next, you will be having something called IRCs. So you can go to Freenode of Fedora QA channel and you can talk to people. The best example could be this one. So I'm logged into Fedora QA channel, and you can just go ahead and go to webchat.freenode.net and channels Fedora QA, and you can start talking to people. And if you have a problem, then you can express it here right away. So this is IRC that you can get through. There are a bunch of resources that you can go through, although the first thing is I have a couple of articles on community Fedora blog, so you can go ahead read it. I have a couple of blogs which are posted in my blog, so that's shumanthrom.blogspot.com. You can go ahead, read it out. Now, the next thing you'd like to know is the release validation wiki page is here. So this link is the release validation wiki page, and then we have update testing here, which I talked about. So I would like to, ask if someone has questions so they can easily go ahead and ask questions because I think we are almost close to the end. Okay, I think there is not much questions. So thanks for joining, and keep posting about your. Okay, so thanks for joining, and just keep posting whatever questions that you have. And if you are stuck somewhere, make sure you mail me. I'm posting my mail address right there, so you can get in touch with me whenever you feel like. And if you're stuck with something, I'll be drafting a blog on kernel testing very soon. So keep an eye on that. So once I'm done drafting it, I'll probably be taking a session on how to test kernels for Fedora 25. So that will be something that you guys can watch out for. And thanks for joining. Keep testing and keep making Fedora better.